it was late in the night. It was about, again, 4 a.m. in the night. I said, let me just go out in the night and see. This thing probably might be there. So I get up, I walk out, and then I sit on the seats outside on the veranda, and while I'm seated there looking, suddenly I enter into a trance. Now, in a trance, in trance, everything disappears. The environment you're in disappears, and you find yourself somewhere. So in this trance, I found myself in a big city, in a huge city with skyscrapers. Now, I don't know which city that was, but all I know it seemed to be, I can't be definite about it. It seemed to me like it was one of those American cities. Now I was there in that city. And then when I arrived there, it was so chaotic. So chaotic, but it seemed like I was inside the city, and yet I was not part of what was taking place, of the chaos and everything. It's like I was watching it, but I was in the movie, so to say, but not part of the movie. You see, there was a great earthquake taking place in that city, in this city with skyscrapers. And there was a lot of noise, a lot of chaos, and people running all over, running to and fro, and, I could feel the horror and the terror that was taking place, but I wasn't a part of it. And these people couldn't see me. It was like I was watching around, and this earthquake was so strong that it looked like the very air that I was seeing was vibrating as well. The buildings, things collapsing. Very, very, very strong earthquake. Things shaking, like the way the earth was literally vibrating, shaking, like the way you see wind, strong wind blowing across trees, It was so heavy, so heavy. And people screaming and yelling and, running for their lives. Then suddenly I found myself looking up in the sky. Now in the sky, there was this dark cloud that was spreading across the entire, it was like covering across that entire place, like the entire world, at least the world in which I was seeing then. There was a dark cloud that had so thick and so dark, so dark, that had, covered the entire place. I'm not talking about this rainy, dark, real deep darkness. And so when I looked so closely at the cloud, I saw what seemed like fire within the dark cloud. Intense fire and intense darkness combined. So now I was wondering what is taking place. And there is fear, and there is horror, and there is terror everywhere. And then there's this, thick darkness right above, with fire inside of it. And so I'm there. And then all of a sudden, I start to sense the presence of God. Jesus himself. I know him. I know how he feels. I've known him ever since. And I know when he's around. Not, people say, oh, but God is everywhere. I pray for him. I'm not, people who don't know him, that's how they talk. I know him in his manifest presence. When he's manifesting, I can start to sense when he's about to walk in, when he's about to manifest. So when anything about him is about the corner. Now I'm talking, in the context of him showing up, him manifesting. I can tell. So I started to sense like the Lord somewhere around the corner. But this time, it was like he was coming upon, he was breaking through. I'm trying to express what I was feeling. He was breaking through from the heavenlies and coming into the earth realm, like he was now coming to the earth. So his presence coming that way wasn't a presence of that we have all known, where you worship him and feel, his sweet, glorious, warm presence. This presence of his, with which he was coming, with which I was feeding him, and I could tell that the world was finally realizing that he was now coming. That presence was not, it wasn't, surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Not that kind. It was so majestic. It was majesty. It was power. It was Lord. It was the King has come. He has come. All kings have to bow. They no longer exist then. You see these people who swing around with some form of power and influence. That sense disappeared. The king remained the king. Finally, he had come, and everyone who pretended to have, people who have been pretending to have some form of power, influence, they were running away. They knew who was the king. He was coming. You feel like all authority is consumed. He is the authority. He is come. I don't know again how I can make it much more, how I can give you the impression of what was actually coming. He was Lord. He was Lord. And everyone suddenly knew it. People look around, and this aspect of him, this dimension of him, when the day it will hit you, you will not be afraid of what man can do, to you or for you. When you realize he is Lord, and he is your Lord, in other words, you are his. Which other influence or which other power or authority can manipulate you or can hold you? When the day you will get to know this, he is King of kings, Lord of lords, that majesty, everything now disappears. No longer makes sense. Everything is in his ownership. So I began to feel that presence, and he was coming. And it was coming, and it was intensifying. It was getting more and more majestic, and I could feel the horror and the terror, because they knew that he had come. They knew that they had ignored him. But I also knew that this was a time when we were gone. So this came on, and now the attention of the horror that was coming out of the people, and the terror, was no more things happening. They were now running, I realized, not because of the earthquakes and the what, and they were running because they were fleeing away. They thought they could flee away from him. And it became strong and stronger and stronger and stronger, until that point where I knew he was King of kings, he was Lord of lords. I now can know how the kingdoms of this world have become the kingdom of our God. That has just come to me right now. It didn't come to me then. I've become the kingdom of our God and of his Christ.